would be tantamount to suicide. At best, they could only try to snatch the emperor's corpse and carry it away. On the battlefield, Emperor Yan Feng stood alone against the two supreme experts. Although his qi and blood remained astonishingly vigorous, he suffered one grievous wound after another, and his divine treasures gradually began to collapse. Both the Rulai and the Tao ancestor were convinced that a single additional strike would be enough to finish the emperor once and for all. At the decisive moment, crippled Grandpa suddenly intervened with his bamboo staff, blocking the killing blows of both opponents. In that fleeting instant, Elder Ma seized the opportunity to spirit Emperor Yan Feng away from the battlefield. Seeing that their target had been rescued, yet realizing that his injuries were already beyond salvation, the Rulai and the Tao ancestor chose not to pursue. They believed that even if the emperor survived, he would be nothing more than a cripple. Not long afterward, Emperor Yan Feng was brought before Qin Mu in a dying state. His entire body was drenched in blood. His qi and blood were nearly exhausted, and his divine treasures continued collapsing one after another. He could only hold on for a short while longer. Without the slightest hesitation, Qin Mu immediately used the creation innate art to seal the emperor's soul and preserve his life, then applied dragon saliva to his wounds in an attempt to prolong his remaining vitality. While Qin Mu devoted himself completely to saving the emperor, Elder Ma and crippled Grandpa did not stop for even a moment. Instead, they continued racing forward, deliberately drawing away the pursuing enemies to buy Qin Mu the precious time he needed to save the emperor standing on the very boundary between life and death.
你打算扒他的皮，自己做皇帝吗？
Without a second thought, Qin Mu immediately called out, and Fatty Dragon headed back to Granny Sai's place. Dragon Qilin immediately turned around. Along the way, Qin Mu fed Emperor Yan Feng some dragon saliva, then used a massage technique to force the stagnant blood out of his body. As he treated the emperor, he continuously considered how to save him. A moment later, he took out several spirit pills. Back when he had comprehended the great unity art, his own qi and blood had been severely depleted, leaving both his body and mind utterly exhausted. At that time, he had refined two life-saving spirit pills. One was the Spirit Buddha pill used to nourish the mind. The other was the Blood Glory pill, which specialized in replenishing qi and blood. In the end, he had only fully recovered after taking the Great Vitality pill and consuming an entire Crimson Dragon Carp King. The pill in his hand now was the Blood Glory pill. Sayama hesitated. At present, Emperor Yan Feng's qi and blood had been almost completely exhausted, but his life could still be saved. If he administered the Blood Glory pill, the Emperor's qi and blood would surge instantly. However, his divine treasures, already on the verge of collapse, would be unable to withstand such an overwhelming influx of power and would shatter immediately. Emperor Yan Feng's cultivation was simply too profound. Once the power within his divine treasures ran out of control, with nowhere to escape, his entire body would explode. When that happened, not only would Emperor Yan Feng perish, but Qin Mu and Dragon Qilin would also be blown to pieces. But if he failed to replenish the Emperor's qi and blood,